Welcome to Exploring the Mystical Side of Life with your host, Linda Lang.
Hi, this is Linda Lang from ThoughtChange.com. We are exploring the mystical side of life once again. Today we're delving into technology. I have Tom Palladino here. Tom is a scalar light researcher. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Linda.
So first of all, what is scalar light?
I work with scalar light. It's not electricity. There are two energies in the universe, and I prefer to work with scalar light. It is different than that of the electromagnetic spectrum because it's simply a different dimension. So what is scalar light? It's sunlight or starlight in its pristine form. Scalar light is produced by the stars of the universe. It's the initial energy of the universe. And if you will, electromagnetic energy is a derivative of scalar energy. So the first energy is scalar energy. The derivative is electricity and magnetism. So if you really want to control nature, you do it with scalar energy, which is the primary, the fundamental energy of the universe.
So how on earth was this energy discovered and harnessed?
I believe the first man to have harnessed it was Nikola Tesla. I think your audience will be familiar with that name, Nikola Tesla. If you look closely at Tesla's career, it really is two careers. His first career, his early part of his life was AC electricity. The latter part of his life he devoted to scalar energy. And this just goes to show the depth of his thinking and how profound of a scientific discoverer, theorist that he was. He knew that there were two energies. And this is over 100 years ago. He started inventing and perfecting scalar energy instruments. He's the first, in my estimation. Brilliant, just a brilliant scientist. So if you follow Tesla, especially the latter part of his life, you realize that he was the pioneer in scalar energy. His inventions have never been duplicated because nobody understands scalar science to the point that Tesla did. And in many ways, I'm trying to follow and repeat his experiments because what he discovered is going to change the world. Scalar technology is going to change the world.
And the world is changing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So do you create your own instruments?
Yes, they're custom built. Yes.
Oh,
I have a team of engineers, and it's laborious, and it's taken me years to understand the science and then put it into a practical model. They are custom built instruments.
So what can you actually use scalar energy for?
Practically everything. And the reason I say that without equivocation, scalar energy serves as the instructions of the universe. Everything in the universe starts with instructions, whether it's your idea or a molecular form. And I believe it's scalar energy, scalar intelligence that really undergirds the entire universe. And with that thought in mind, it's unlimited, Linda. It's unlimited. I'll speak about a few techniques that I use with scalar energy to control matter. I can create a molecule or I can break apart a molecule. And I can do that readily with scalar energy. So I have control over molecular form. It's very exciting and it's very promising now that we have this mastery over physical matter.
So you could apply that to health concerns, I'm sure.
Yes, I'll elaborate upon that. So I use scalar energy to, if you will, create or assemble nutrients, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, etc. So if I can take a scalar energy instrument and create vitamin C or a phytochemical or an amino acid, that's going to improve human health. And that's precisely what I'm doing with these instruments. I can actually direct intelligence, scalar energy into the body. And that intelligence serves to, if you will, create the necessary micronutrients that the body needs. So we can fortify the body with a scalar energy instrument because the instrument will assemble micronutrients.
So, how do you direct this energy into someone's body?
Yeah, I direct it by way of a photograph. Now, this is again quantum physics. This is not electromagnetic physics. So I take a photograph. This is my photograph. I've got to actually place a photograph inside a scalar energy instrument. And in so doing, that instrument then would make a connection with my photograph. So everything that I work with in this quantum field, in this scalar energy force field, is non-physical. It's intelligence. And the way I instruct that intelligence is by way of a photograph of a person. So people will email me photographs from around the world, and the photograph receives the action because the photograph is in the quantum field.
And the photograph carries your energy pattern, right?
Yes, your energy pattern.
Right,
Your
right.
quantum field is found on the photograph. So this is that new branch of science that I'm speaking of. And again, this is not Newtonian physics. It's a new and emerging field of science. And many people will resonate with this because they've always known that prayer and intention is valid. All of that is indeed responsible for our everyday living, our prayers, our thoughts, our intentions. And the animating force behind prayer, intention, thought, creativity is scalar energy. So scalar energy is also responsible for our thought forms. What am I getting at? Scalar energy is the consciousness of the universe. Scalar energy is the mind of God. So my instrument controls the consciousness of the universe. My instrument controls the mind of God.
That's a pretty big statement.
Yes.
Controlling the mind of God.
Yeah. It working in hand with the mind of God. So I have the instructions of God with me by way of scalar energy. And I can control those divine thoughts. I can control the divine makeup of the universe. I mean that literally.
I'd maybe state that as aligning with the mind of God, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm in alignment with the mind of God. That doesn't mean that I'm obviously going to overrule the creator. But imagine what power you can realize by a scalar energy instrument, that you are in alignment with this mind of God, that you have been given this control, this mastery over nature.
So how does this work with free will and our own individualized thinking?
Free will is still very much in part in the universe. I don't impinge upon free will. Many people who come to me, they do so out of their free will. I think that's important. And most important, people have to understand this process. So I'm all about education. To me, education is the key. Once people see the merit of something, then they're going to resonate with that. They're going to understand it, resonate, and they'll eventually embrace this new and emerging science.
So, Tom, if I'm on your machine and I'm aligning with the creative intelligence of the universe, will that shift my thought patterns?
In some ways it will, yes. Yeah. A scalar energy instrument will have an influence upon your brain waves. And in so doing, it could change your brain waves. And when I'm using this instrument, I've noticed that some people are of a more tranquil spirit, that they're able to achieve peace and harmony, not only in their mind, but in their heart, so to speak. Others speak about vivid dreams. Some people say that they can get rid of a fear or a phobia. Now, all of that is done by this application of scalar energy on a photograph within the quantum field. I am not a psychologist. I am not providing psychological counseling to somebody. Who is the psychologist? God is. And what am I saying? I control an instrument that can impart that good psychology to a person. So that's the control, that's the mastery of scalar energy. It really is what Tessa called the wheel work of nature. When you control the intelligence of the universe, you have fantastic control. And that's what I'm saying. I have control over the intelligence of the universe.
Have you ever worked with anyone that had any kind of side effects or any kind of unusual experiences with it? Maybe some kind of discomfort or feeling not themselves.
Usually not discomfort. And the reason I say that, it's again, it's starlight, it's sunlight. So if this starlight is everywhere and we're being immersed with scalar energy, it must be good. It has to be good. Otherwise, we would be overruled, if you will, by the starlight of the universe. We would all be sick. Maybe we would perish. Maybe we would die. No, to the contrary, starlight is the life force of the universe. So this is the beauty of my work. It's not a chemical. I don't work with physical matter. I work with pure intelligence, the pure divine light of God. And when used in its proper context, it is only health begetting. It is advantageous to us to use this energy. And that, to me, that resonates, I'm sure, with so many people. Finally, there's a healing modality that's non-chemical, that is the intelligence of God, and it can only produce what I would consider favorable returns, favorable results.
How long does it take for results to show up? Like, is it the mind of God? You know, we think of instantaneous, but
It,
we also have physical bodies that maybe take a little time to heal.
the action is instantaneous. The response is predicated upon so many variables: your psychological state, your physiological state, your diet, your acceptance of this. But what I've noticed in a scalar energy force field, everything works instantaneously. So that's the mind of God. That's the control that I have over this paradigm. Everything takes place instantly.
Do you think this is cheating? You know, we're here in our physical body and we're having our life experience, and, you know, a lot of people think of God's will or the divine plan or karma or all of these aspects that create our life experience. And here we have the possibility of using some technology to shift that. Do you
Yes.
think that's cheating?
You could call it cheating, and if you want to call it cheating, then so be it. It is cheating because this paradigm is supreme. Now, let me explain. Again, I work with the mind of God. I'm in alignment with the mind of God. With this instrument, I can control events. And in so doing, this mastery, this consummate mastery that I have over nature, it really affords me the ability to have this viewpoint of people and animals. I work with animals, and to be able to do things with people and animals that others cannot achieve. So is it cheating? You can call it cheating. Do I have that ability with this instrument? I surely do. Do I have that advantage that other people do not have? Yeah, that's obvious. Sure.
Do you use this technology for anything besides working with individuals, whether
Correct.
that be people or animals?
Sure. All the time. For instance, I'm working with the ohia tree in Hawaii, the ohia tree, and I'm able to eradicate a plant fungus in the ohia tree in Hawaii, and I've had great success. And the ability of these instruments, you could treat the entire island of Maui or Oahu with a scalar energy instrument. So it's unlimited potential. So I believe this blight that the ohia tree is experiencing, the rapid ohia death, is going to be reversed because the scalar energy instruments that I control are able to eradicate this plant fungus from these trees, and the trees will no longer die. So imagine what I'm saying. I could treat an entire island in Hawaii of plant fungus and reverse a blight.
Well, there are quite a few trees that are struggling with quite a few different funguses or actually even insect infestations.
Yeah.
There's tons of work that could be done there, I'm sure.
Yeah, there is. I hope people see the merit of what I'm doing. What I'm doing is so esoteric, Linda, that it takes people time really just to grasp this.
Yeah.
What I've said during this interview is true and accurate. And if it is indeed true and accurate, this technology is going to change the world.
Yes, definitely. I'm curious if it can be worked with anything that isn't alive. So let's say a country or a business, or, I mean, I guess you could probably send it to anything at any time in future or past. Is that correct?
That's true. So, on account of the fact that everything in a scalar energy dimension is in the present moment, you can access the past, you can access the future. Everything is in the present now, the present moment. And many people will send me photographs of their homes for a blessing, or a photograph of, say, a building or a car for a blessing or protection. So this energy, again, it transcends time and space. It has infinite capability. And with that, we can see that a scalar energy instrument can be used for the non-physical world or the physical world.
So that brought up a really interesting question in my head. So if someone sends you a picture of their home to be blessed, does that picture have to stay on the machine all the time for that blessing, or is it just they're put on a machine for a certain time and they carry that blessing with them after that?
As soon as I use this instrument, which is a divine afflatus, a divine administration of energy, that person, plant, object will receive that blessing immediately, and it will stay forever. Now, can that blessing be enhanced day after day? Yes, it can. But my observation with scalar energy, it is a waveform, an infinite waveform that never dies. It never experiences entropy. So any type of administration of scalar energy upon any person, animal, plant, or object will remain for eternity.
I think it's very, very interesting. Does your intent, or whoever is using any of these devices, does that play a part in the effect?
I think it does, yeah. Anytime I use the instruments, I always pray. And I always want to be in accord. I always want to be in God's will in so doing. Because keep in mind, this instrument is the will of God. This instrument is the intelligence, the mind of God. And if God has given me this knowledge, this ability to control the mind of God, imagine what responsibility and power I have. And I mean that quite bluntly. The modern day equivalent of the Ark of the Covenant, I have it. A scalar energy instrument is the modern day equivalent of the Ark of the Covenant. And if you have the Ark of the Covenant, you have supreme control. You possess the mind of God.
So use it wisely.
Yes, it's not a toy. And this is why I don't let the instruments out of my sight. No, it carries a great responsibility.
What kind of benefits have you seen for people?
One of the techniques that I've perfected with this instrument, this modern day equivalent of the Ark of the Covenant, I can readily, easily break down pathogens, germs. If the instrument can identify a germ, we can break it apart. So someday this will be recognized as the easy way to break down, to disassemble a pathogen, a germ. So I'll go on record, this instrument can easily break down the herpes virus, shatter the herpes virus. Well, consider what that means to hundreds of millions of people around the world who suffer from herpes infection.
Yeah, absolutely. And all you need is a picture of a face.
Correct. They do not have to visit a laboratory. There's no in-person session. So we could take a photograph of a group of people, of 100, 200 people, and all of them could be worked on, treated simultaneously, no matter where they are located in the world. So this instrument, which is, again, using the mind of God, it works like an infinite satellite, can identify a person anywhere in the world by their location and then provide a healing to that person anywhere in the world.
And would you consider this technology as an alignment tool to help people align with their true selves or with source?
Yes, yes. It's a great way to become aligned with God, aligned with God. And I want to emphasize that I'm a Christian. And from my background, I think, again, I have a fantastic gift from God. I never stop thanking God for this gift. And I always want to put God first. He is the creator. He is the creator, and He's God. I'm a creature. But this does allow me to have access to the power of God, to have access to the mind of God. Now, you see why Nikola Tesla gave up electrical research in deference for scalar energy research, because he knew that he finally had the power of the universe in his hand. He had mastery over nature with scalar energy, mastery over nature.
Well, Tom, thank you for the work that you do. I think it is totally fascinating, and there's so much held within what we talked about today that could potentially really change the future for everyone. So thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to leave the listeners with before we wrap up?
I would visit our website, scalarlight.com. There's plenty of information that you can learn more about this groundbreaking science. And we also offer anybody in the world 15 days of free scalar energy sessions. So scalarlight.com, and help us change the world.
Wonderful. We'll put the links in the show notes. Tom, thank you for being my guest. And thank you for listening to this week's edition of Exploring the Mystical Side of Life. You will find all of our conversations on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, at thoughtchange.com. Make sure you give us a little love, subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend if you think it could help them. Come and visit me at thoughtchange.com and learn what energy medicine can do for you. That's it for this week. Bye for now. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you're having fun exploring the mystical side of life. Remember to subscribe.